Hello and welcome to this edition of Dirt Talk with Drake York, and I got sprint car announcer Gary Thomas on the show. It's good to have you, Gary.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Can't get better than the Bragway weekend.
Gary, let's jump right on in. How are you first introduced to the sport of racing?
Yeah, so my parents went to races since they were, I guess, out of college. My dad and mom actually went their first date at West Capitol back in the day, and I've basically been around it since I was like 6 months old, kind of like you, I'm sure, basically born into it. So it's been in my blood my whole life, and you can't get it out.
What are your earliest memories of racing? Because you were talking about there how your first race was like when you were 6 months old.
Yeah, it's funny. I think about 90, I was born in 1987. The earliest memories I have was probably 1993, so I was probably 6 years old, and I remember Randy Tyner driving the Tri-C car, and of course Brent Kading back then was the guy to beat. So I'd say when I was about 6 or 7 was my earliest memories, but I of course watched a lot of videos and stuff from Grove Hill throughout the years, and it's what I love to do.
Well, today you're a big-time sprint car announcer here in California. You announced for the Sprint Car
That's
Challenge
what they say, yeah.
You announced for the Sprint Car Challenge Tour, and we've heard a lot of stuff about how good the series is, but what exactly sets it apart from the rest of the series?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Everyone kind of asks that question. Is it the money? Is it just the family atmosphere that we kind of bring to it? I think it's a combination of both. I worked with King of the West series for 10 or 11 years, and it was hard to leave that, but this opportunity came about, and there's a lot of great people involved, a lot of companies, of course, with Elk Grove Ford and Avery Vineyards. So I think it's a combination of the money and also the fact that it's more like a family, I think, with our series.
What is your favorite part about announcing with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour?
I think it's meeting people. It all comes back to being a family. My parents and I have kind of traveled the state, and we've gone back to Knoxville, 4 or 5 times in the motor home and stuff. So I think it's just meeting people and seeing great racing along the way.
What appeals to you the most about sprint car racing?
It's funny. You keep talking about the great racing we have, but it's meeting people. It's all the stories that we have. I mean, there's a lot of characters out there, as you know. I've watched a lot of your shows, and the people that you have on, it's a lot of different people, a lot of different characters, and it really keeps it interesting.
You've been to a lot of tracks. You mentioned Knoxville. You've been to a lot of tracks here on the West Coast, but out of all those, what is your favorite track all time?
That's a tough question. I'd say probably out here, it's hard to beat Tulare. A lot of people I know that come from back east even talk about how Tulare is probably one of the best you can get in the country. But love Knoxville. I love going back there every year. Chili Bowl is a great time, but I'd say probably above and beyond all, Tulare is probably my favorite.
How did you get into the announcing business originally?
It basically started out with me doing PR work, writing stories and everything, and I started doing a blog maybe 10 or 12 years ago when I was just in high school. So just a young kid too, and Troy Hennig, I got to know Troy here, of course, like yourself, and he basically just said let's get you up in the booth, Gary. So I went up there and started working on Friday nights here at Silver Dollar Speedway, just doing kind of infield stuff, and it just pretty much progressed from there. And but yeah, probably Troy and George Haig were probably the two guys that really got me started when I was a young kid.
What is your favorite part about being an announcer?
I think it's just, kind of being in control of the show. Of course, as an announcer, you're not really the show, of course the drivers or the stars and everything, but just being able to talk to the people that your family's out there, the drivers, it makes it a lot of fun.
What's your favorite event all year? You just talked about that you've been to Knoxville quite a few times in Chili Bowl, but out of all the events we run through the year, which is your favorite?
Yeah, it's hard to pass up Knoxville and Chili Bowl, but above and beyond is the Trophy Cup. Got to be my favorite. Thunderbolt Raceway, 3 nights of racing. It's put on to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is one of the great causes that we have in all the country. So, you put the fast guys in the back, and what Dave Puzzateri has done at the Trophy Cup is just phenomenal the last 22, 23 years, however long it's been going on. And it just keeps getting bigger and better every year. And so I'd say Trophy Cup's probably my number one.
Is announcing your full-time job, or do you have a regular job?
So this is my only job, so
That's
announcing
awesome.
and doing PR. So, it's funny, out here in California, there's not a lot of full-time opportunities, I guess you'd say. So I work with, the Sprint Car Challenge, of course, Placerville, Stockton, Tulare, the Hunt Series, just a little bit here and there to kind of pay the bills and stuff. So, it all kind of works out. And of course, I have great parents that are very supportive of everything. So, this is my sole source of income.
Geez, Gary. Jerry.
No worries.
You're living the dream, man.
That's what everybody says. They do, I always look at myself first and foremost as a fan, above and beyond anything. Like even this weekend to the Bradway, I'm fortunate to have the chance to come up here and just hang out and watch 2 nights of great racing.
Well, that's very cool. Hey, do you want to swap lives?
I know.
Do you want,
I know, right?
Do you want to
right.
Do you want to go to middle school every day and I can do what you do?
I was not a fan of school, I'll tell you that. I'm sure you're not either, yeah. But
I actually kind of like school.
all kids should stay in school. That's good. That's good. Get a college degree. I was close to a degree, and kind of came about with a full-time deal back with Dan Simpson and the King of the West days. So I never got a chance to fully finish school. But if you're out there and you're a kid, stay in school. That's the best thing to do.
Gary, I'm sure you've seen a lot of races announcing throughout the years, but what was your favorite race you've ever seen, like on any night or ever?
That's tough. I've seen a lot of racing in the last. I've just turned 30 in January, so I've seen quite a bit, throughout the years. But it's funny. Knoxville this past year, with of course Donnie Schatz and Jason Johnson going at it, that was probably one that really sticks out in my mind, just because you could hear the crowd above the cars. You don't get a chance to hear 20,000 people screaming above 24, 900 horsepower cars out there very often. So that was probably one of the races that sticks out in my mind. Of course, the Trophy Cup with Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet was one that you always look to. The year that Tim Kading came from last to first of the Trophy Cup was another one that was pretty phenomenal. So many throughout the years, and every year it seems like we get more.
You talked about going to the races as a kid when you were 6 and younger. Who was your favorite driver when you were a kid?
So when I was a kid, it was Shane Scott and Steve Kent were my 2 guys. Of course, Shane, we're here at the Bradway Memorial. He was the king of Chico back then. And then Steve Kent was the guy that, won a couple of King of the West titles. And he just kind of became my favorite guy throughout the years. My email is still Gary7N at sbcglobal.net. Of course, Steve drove the 7N car for a lot of years, so I've always kept that. And so yeah, Steve Kent, Shane Scott, Randy Tyner were kind of 3 of my idols, I'd say, back in the day.
Which era of sprint car racing was your favorite?
Probably, you always look back on the days gone by as one of your favorites, but I think right now is as good as it's been in the last 20 years. I mean, you got guys like Kyle Hurst and, Bud Kading, drivers that have been around for the last 20 years. They're still at the top of their game, Andy Forsberg. But there's a lot of young kids like Gio Scelzi and Buddy Kofoid, guys like that are just coming up, and they're going to be here for years to come.
What would you say your second favorite era is of sprint car racing?
Probably when I was, I'd say maybe 10 years ago. We probably had a bigger group of Hoserville that Jason and Julie, they were around those days, and we had a lot of fun barbecuing and eating linguiça and stuff, and those were fun times. Maybe 10 years ago, our buddy, Car Wash Mike, who we're kind of honoring this weekend here at the Bradway. Rich Wiseman was a guy that doesn't go to the races a lot anymore, but we always had a fun time, and the racing was good back then, as it is now.
Well, the series you announced are wing sprint cars, but which type of car do you prefer, a wing sprint car or non-wing sprint car?
I would say a wing sprint car. I like non-wing, I like midgets, I like it all, but I've grown up around the wing stuff, so this is kind of my cup of tea.
Which track would you like to go to that you haven't been yet? You talked about Chili Bowl, Knoxville. Those are on my bucket list. So right now you're doing pretty good, Gary.
I'm sure you're probably third would be Eldora, of course.
Yeah.
That's mine. I've never had the chance to go to Eldora, so one year I'd like to do it, go back to Kings Royal or the Four Crown, but hands down Eldora.
What race have you always dreamed about announcing but haven't got the chance to announce yet?
That's a tough one. Maybe Chili Bowl, just because everybody is there, but it's hard to give up hanging with my friends and family at that event. We go back to Tulsa with about maybe 12 or 13 people and stay in a couple different rooms, and it's just like a big vacation, but probably Chili Bowl.
So you've come here to the Bradway this weekend, but what does a typical race weekend look like when you're the guy behind the mic?
Yeah, so when we, a a lot of the times we bring the motor home, my family and I, and sometimes we'll come a day before. Everyone makes fun of us for coming a day or two before the races, but so we come here and kind of get ready, hang banners. One of my actual job title with the Sprint Car Challenge is business manager. So we hang banners, we get ready for autograph sessions, you know, get tables in place, get set up in the booth, of course, to start announcing. Like last week in Petaluma, we kind of handled the payout, so went around car to car, made sure we had all the information and stuff. So, you know, sometimes we get there like at 10 in the morning and don't leave till 1 o'clock. I mean, you know, 1 in the morning. So, but it's a lot of fun, and once it's all done, it all pays off.
So what does the business manager do exactly, and is it hard to balance that with announcing and your other jobs?
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of fun. Like even last week, per se, I was working with my buddy Ron Langren at Petaluma, and after the B mains and C mains are done, you know, we started doing payouts. So it's like I kind of take a back seat, you know, and Ron luckily was there to be able to announce the C main and B main, where we're, you know, writing checks and everything. So sometimes it's a lot of work, but it's all worth it in the end.
You knew Car Wash Mike. What was he like, and how do you think he would like to be remembered as a person?
Yeah, you know, Car Wash is a great guy, just a good human being. I was talking to my mom earlier about the Fast Time Award we have. It's funny. He was always a humble guy, and if he was here, he probably wouldn't want his name to be even attached to it, just because he was so humble. He'd be like, "No, you don't need to put my name anywhere." So that's, I think, how we should probably best remember him is as a humble guy. You know, he'd give money, give you the shirt off his back, and but it really is cool that we can kind of keep his memory alive here at the Bradway.
And Car Wash Mike, obviously famous for that Coors Light box hat.
Right.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so back in the day, I used to have the Coors Light crown that I wear at Gold Cup, and he'd have the Coors Light cowboy hat. So we were kind of like a pair that would walk around and just have a good old time, you know. Really miss those days a lot, you know. Maybe not as fun as it used to be, but we're still here having a good time, you know. And if he was here, it'd be, you know, much of the same.
I think you guys, if you had superpowers, you guys could have been like the Coors Light brothers or
Hey,
something.
we could have been. We could have been. One time we actually had the Coors Light crown stolen, and a friend of ours made a brand new one, and it was, who was it? Jamie Skinner, who of course your dad and mom know a lot.
Imagine that.
She actually made a brand new crown for me and gave it to me at one of our banquets. It was right after my 21st birthday, and we were up at Feather Falls in Oroville, and she gave us a brand new crown and decorated it. Steve Kinzer signed it. And so
cool.
It's, you know, little connections like that that really make this sport so cool.
Gary, you travel a lot with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour, and you did with the King of the West. Do you have any restaurants you like to stop to while you're on the road?
Too many to announce, probably. Yeah. So at Tulare, we go to places like Vejar's and Apolani's. Of course, in Chico, you got Casa Ramos across the street. The Tackle Box, one of the bars across the street, another hot spot. Crazy Horse downtown. But say probably more bars than restaurants. But no, there's a lot of great places. Knoxville, there's amazing restaurants. But that's almost as much fun as going to the races as going around the towns and seeing, you know, what the locals have to offer.
Do you have a pet, and if so, does it travel with you?
You know, I used to have 2 pets. It's funny, we had 2 cats. We got a cat in 1994. A cat followed us around at Hanford. There was a 2-day show, the Pumbo Sergeant Classic, which is still going on today. A black cat hung around us at camp all weekend. We brought it home. And Chuck Miller, old sprint car driver, won that weekend, and we named it Chuck.
Oh,
So we
cool.
had it for probably 15 years. It's you know, long gone by now, but we had that cat, and we also got another black cat, and we named it Boo after Randy Tyner. So we had two black cats named Chuck and Boo. And if you weren't a race fan, you'd have no idea why we called it that. But yeah, that was it. And maybe another cat, you know, pretty soon.
So Gary, if someone was starting out announcing today and they came up to you for advice, what would you say to them?
I'd probably say, you know, just always be humble. And it's all the people that you meet around here. You know, I've been fortunate to meet people like Troy and George Haig and different people down the road that really helped me out. But I think just being humble, being respectful is probably the number one words of advice I give.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Drake. I appreciate it, buddy.